It's demo day at the White House. The East Wing is being torn down to make room for a nearly 1,000-person ballroom, and naturally the left is acting like Trump is bulldozing democracy itself.
Today, bulldozers are out on White House grounds. An exterior wall of its East Wing is now rubble as President Trump's plans for a new ballroom get put into action.
So does Trump have the power as president to renovate the executive office building, or is this just another one of his allegedly dictatorial moves? Let's lock in.
The American people told Donald Trump to cut the cost of living. Instead, he's cutting off part of the White House for his new billionaire's ballroom.
Of course, leftist media is going to have a field day with images of the White House getting wrecked for Trump's special project. The Washington Post even reported that the Treasury Department instructed employees not to take or share photos of the construction project without permission. However, the media will still distribute what they can capture, and the left is using the destruction to fit their narrative of, oh, Trump is destroying America. Hillary Clinton said on X, "It's not his house, it's your house, and he's destroying it." It's only slightly ironic if you remember FurnitureGate, where the Clintons allegedly took approximately $190,000 worth of gifts, including furniture, china, flatware, when they left the White House. Gavin Newsom said Trump is, quote, ripping apart the White House just like he's ripping apart the Constitution. Okay, give me a break. You guys said the Supreme Court was illegitimate because it had a conservative majority, and you've wanted to nix the filibuster forever, but go off, I guess. Yeah, you love our institutions, right? Elizabeth Warren said, "Oh, you're trying to say the cost of living is skyrocketing? Donald Trump can't hear you over the sound of bulldozers demolishing a wing of the White House to build a new grand ballroom." White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt bulldozed the left with her response.
There have been many presidents in the past who have made their mark on this beautiful White House complex. This briefing room, as you all know, was not once a briefing room. It was a swimming pool. There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years, I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time. And again, in due time, the East Wing is going to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold big parties and state visits for generations to come.
According to President Trump, the White House needs more governing and entertaining space. Hosting is his forte, whether it's Mar-a-Lago or the East Wing. I met Trump in 2016 actually at Mar-a-Lago on Easter Sunday while he was still considered a joke candidate by much of the press, and all I remember were these glorious, copious buffets, ice sculptures. It was the most fabulous brunch I'd ever been to in my life, so safe to say the man knows how to throw a party, a fete. This is 100% his expertise. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles said, "President Trump is a builder at heart and has an extraordinary eye for detail." Very true. The president and the Trump White House are fully committed to working with the appropriate organizations to preserve the special history of the White House while building a beautiful ballroom that can be enjoyed by future administrations and generations of Americans to come. Without a doubt, Donald Trump is a builder. If you live in New York City, like I do, you know what I mean. Within about a 1-mile radius of where I sit right now, there are 7 separate Trump properties. All of them very glamorous, squeaky clean, extremely well run. He built much of the Big Apple skyline. He even built the Central Park ice skating rink. Now, he can't help himself from leaving his mark on his current home, the White House, and I don't blame him. I think he has great taste. If you have been to one of his events, you know that his playlist is extremely well curated. So many classics. I mean, I don't know how many hours he's poured into that, but it is a masterpiece. But here's the part the media doesn't want to tell you. Taxpayers aren't paying a dime. President Trump himself is personally going to pay for a large portion of the ballroom's construction. And then private donors will fund the rest. In case you're wondering, that's why the construction has continued during the government shutdown. But that's also where it gets a little hairy, according to some ethics lawyers at least. Earlier this month, senior executives from Blackstone, OpenAI, Microsoft, a lot of other serious tech companies attended a potential donors dinner. A few NFL owners were there as well. Richard Painter, former chief ethics lawyer in the George W. Bush admin, said, "I view this enormous ballroom as an ethics nightmare. It's using access to the White House to raise money. I don't like it. These corporations all want something from the government." But let's be real. When billionaires fund the Met Gala, it's philanthropy. And when Trump builds a ballroom, it's corruption? I don't know. I feel like Trump is just building back better. This is infrastructure that future presidents and administrations can enjoy too. You know, it was really an ethical challenge? Hunter Biden's paintings, for which the White House, under Biden, established a special, not at all shady arrangement to sell his artwork for tens of thousands of dollars without knowing the identity of the purchaser. If you've seen these paintings, you know how obscenely, ridiculously steep those prices are. It was garbage. He painted complete garbage. And supposedly this arrangement was to avoid the ethics issues, but the whole thing reeked. A lot of companies right now are kissing the ring now that Trump's in office and has been vindicated on many old lawsuits. YouTube agreed to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit with Trump and other plaintiffs over his January 6, 2021 account suspension. As part of the settlement, $22 million of that will be contributed to the Trust for the National Mall, which is going to help fund the Ballroom project. Trump could have pocketed the cash, but instead he's using it to beautify the White House.
You know who is still bulldozing ahead with building a White House ballroom that no one voted for, no one asked for, and once again, it's promises made and promises broken.
For those leftists who weren't paying attention in 6th grade social studies, Trump is not the first American president to renovate the White House. In 1812, the British burned the White House to the ground. Obviously, it needed rebuilding after that. The White House that Whoopi Goldberg knows today is largely thanks to Harry Truman's large-scale renovations. Because of Roosevelt's vast expansion of the executive branch, they needed more office space, but the building also needed renovations desperately. When a leg of a piano upstairs crashed through the ceiling of the floor below, Truman was given the green light to engage in a 4-year White House redo. But aside from fixing structural integrity issues, presidents have had pretty broad latitude for updating the White House. Theodore Roosevelt added a tennis court, FDR added the swimming pool, George H.W. Bush added a half-court basketball court, and Obama had the half-court adapted to full size. A full court? What is this, the NBA? Seems kind of frivolous, Whoopi Goldberg. What do you say about that? All President Trump wants is to host a gala for global leaders, maybe strike up some more peace deals. Is that really too much to ask? The good news is we know this ballroom is going to be beautiful. Trump has chosen McCrary architects to do it. They're well known for their classical architectural design. They're based in Washington, D.C. The ballroom will be 90,000 square feet and will host parties, state visits, and other events, and it's being built off the East Wing. So as the media releases these unflattering demo photos, remember, much of the White House is remaining exactly the same. CEO Jim McCrary said, "Presidents in the modern era have faced challenges hosting major events at the White House because it has been untouched since President Harry Truman. I am honored that President Trump has entrusted me to help bring this beautiful and necessary renovation to the people's house, while preserving the elegance of its classical design and historical importance." National Review's Michael Breton Doherty said, "Trump has chosen an absolutely superlative architect in Jim McCrary. He's one of the leading practitioners of classical architecture and has restored and built some of America's most beautiful churches of the last few decades. He's also done many grand civic projects and private commissions. He restored Mary, Mother of God Parish in D.C., which was until recently the home of the diocese's most famous traditional Latin Mass. Okay, so we have assurance that this ballroom will not be some postmodern abomination. It's going to be classical and refined. Again, Trump's strong suit, although maybe with a little too much gold-coated things here and there. But Trump's not building a gaudy casino ballroom here. Demo started this past week, and the ballroom is expected to be completed long before the end of Trump's term because we know that he wants quick turnarounds by private companies that actually know how to be efficient and productive over drawn-out, red-taped, highly regulated government partners. Our country turns 250 next summer. We're still very young, our federal buildings are even younger and have changed a lot over the years. Each renovation, each addition, to me is like a metaphor for America itself. We're a country under constant construction, seeking an ever more perfect union. But what do you think? Is the new White House ballroom going to help make America great again? Or is Trump overstepping the duty of president, putting on a hard hat and decorating when he's supposed to be sticking to domestic and foreign policy? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and for more, check out my articles at nationalreview.com.